Okay, for problem number 1 here, we are trying to find the measurement of angle RWG. RWG. So we want to know the measurement of this angle. Who can raise their hand and tell me what the measurement of this angle would be? Hasefa? 70, because directly across from it is a vertical angle, meaning that they are congruent, so this is going to be 70 degrees as well. Okay, so both of these are going to happen to be 70 degrees. Okay, for the second part of it, we want the angle measurement of YWG. So YWG is going to be forming this angle. So I know it looks like it's two angles, but we're going to pair it together to form it as one single angle. Who can tell me what the measurement of that angle is going to be? Noman?
I think 78.
Well, look at 78. See how 78 is less than 90 degrees? Does this whole thing look like it would be less than 90 degrees? No. So it's not a vertical angle to this measurement. Caleb? No, the whole thing's not 180, but you're getting closer. You are getting closer. Hasefa, you want to try? Huh? 148? No, not 148. Let me go ahead and go. Oh, okay, one more last try. Michaela? 110. How did you come up with 110? Very good. Very good. Yeah, she says that from point Y to point R, it makes a straight line. From point Y to point R, you're making a straight line, and we know a straight line is 180 degrees because that's supplementary, right? A straight line is going to create that supplementary angle relationship. You guys had that on your CFA last week. Your CFA last week had a measurement just like this, or a diagram just like this. Okay, and a lot of you were missing it because of this question. You guys got this part correct, but it's the second part that you messed up on. This is forming a a supplementary relationship, 180 degrees, so that we know, if I go ahead and label this, we'll label this C. If I take the measurement of angle C and I add it with this measurement that we just solved for, which was 70 degrees, then it's going to equal that supplementary relationship. It's going to equal 180. So the only thing that I need to do to solve is to take 70 away from 180, and I would get that angle C is 110 degrees, or angle YWG, this whole measurement right here. That's 110 degrees. 110 plus 70 creates that 180 degree straight line. Okay? All right, let's take a look here. Lynn is playing a video game called Candy Stomp, where she needs to spend 250 points in order to play the ultimate round so that she can earn 5.8 points for every candy she stomps. This can be found by the following equation. So they're even giving you the equation that P is going to equal 5.8C minus 250. We want to know how many candies does Lynn need to stop if she wants to win the game with 620 points. Okay, how many candies does she need to stop in order to win with 620 points? So points, P, is going to be replaced with 620. So I'm going to rewrite this to say 620 is equal to 5.8C minus 250. And now all I have to do is solve it. What would I do to solve this equation? What's the first step or first inverse operation that I need to perform in order to solve? Eli? Addition of what? 250. So we would add 250 to both sides, right? We want to get rid of that constant. So instead of subtracting 250, we would add 250. We would add 250 to both sides. That's going to come out to 870 is now equal to 5.8C. 5.8C. Okay, from here, we now need to go ahead and do what? Caleb? Divide. And what are we going to divide both sides by? we're going to divide 870 by 5.8. Good. So we're going to divide both sides by 5.8. And then the number of candies that she's going to need is going to be 150. C is going to equal 150. That's the total number of candies that she's going to need in order to be able to win the game with 620 points. Okay? All right, for problem number 3, what is the first step that we need to do to solve a problem like problem number 3? Michaela? Distributive property. We're going to do 6 times x and 6 times 11. 6 times x is going to give us 6x. 6 times 11 is going to give us positive 66. And that's all equal to 1,956. What do we now need to do? Alan?
Subtract 66.
Good. We're going to subtract 66 from both sides. Okay, that's going to leave us with 6x is now equal to 1,890. Last step. What's the last step going to be? Divide. Good. And we're going to divide both sides by 6. Divide both sides by 6, and we'll get that x is going to equal to 315. Okay. Problem number 4, I split it up into 3 parts. Part A, B, and C. This was not multiple choice. This was not a multiple choice question. If angle A is 80 degrees and angle B is 2x, we're going to write an equation to solve for the angles if they are vertical, if they are complementary, and if they are supplementary. So if the angles are vertical, what will the equation look like? If they are vertical angles, how will I set up the equation for angle A and angle B? I should see more than just the same people I'm calling on all the time. Ava, vertical angles. Angle A and angle B are vertical angles. What's the equation going to be? What do we know about vertical angles? They're equal to each other. So show me an equation that shows that these are equal to each other. You said they're equal to each other. What is angle A? 80. So 80 equals, what is angle B? Huh? What's angle B? But what is it represented as right now? 2x. So your equation is just 80 equals 2x. That's it. Vertical angles, they are equal to each other. 80 is equal to 2x. That's the equation. Do you guys know how to solve that? Kayla, how do we solve it? Just divide by 2. You would divide both sides by 2, and you would get x is equal to 40. Okay? If it's complementary, what does complementary angles mean? Crystal, complementary angles are what? Think we talked about alphabetical order versus numerical order. How about you ask a neighbor? Ask a neighbor. Complementary angles, guys. What are complementary angles equal to? Amaria? 90. Complementary angles are equal to 90 degrees. That means that if I take these two angles and add them together, 80 plus 2x, it's going to be equal to 90 degrees. That's the angles equation that I'm going to get. You need to know how to write your equations, guys. You would subtract 80 from both sides. That would give you 2x is now equal to 10. And then you would divide both sides by 2 and get x is equal to 5. If they are supplementary, supplementary angles equal what? 180. So I would take that same equation, 80 plus 2x, and I'd set it equal to 180 for supplementary. Then solve the exact same way. Subtract 80 from both sides. That would give me 2x is now equal to 100. And then I would divide both sides by 2 and get x is equal to 50. It's important that you know the difference of setting up an equation for vertical angles, complementary angles, and supplementary angles. Okay? We are going to constantly be reviewing old material from all of our previous units because your exam at the end of the semester is a benchmark exam on everything we've done this year. Okay? Not right now. Okay, let's move on. Writing. When we're writing inequalities, for writing inequalities, you need to know your keywords. Now, there's a couple of problems that we'll do based off of keywords that we've seen, but the rest of them we're going to do is based off of word problems. Okay? So the quotient of a number is -8, of a number and -8 is at most -6. Sorry, guys. All right. First thing that we want to do is we want to identify the inequality symbol. You always want to identify your inequality. So we're looking for key words that represent an inequality. What key words or phrases up here represents, you know, a greater than, a less than, a greater than or equal to, a less than or equal to? What phrase up here is going to represent that, Caleb? At most. And it's not just at most, it's is at most. Is at most. That keyword is just as important. Is at most -6. Is at most -6. So that means that word at most, if it's at most going to be -6, does it mean it's going to be equal to -6? Can it be equal to -6? If it's at most -6, can it be equal to it? Yes. So I know it's going to have an equal to sign. Now I have to decide, is it going to be less or greater? So if it at most is going to be -6, does it mean it's going to be less than or greater than? Less than, right? At most, this is the largest it can possibly be, right? So it's going to be less than or equal to -6. That much we know. Less than or equal to -6. Okay, now the rest of the phrase here says the quotient of a number and -8. The quotient of a number and -8. What does the word quotient represent? What operation, guys? And it shouldn't be just one or two people. Come on, everybody. Say it louder. Division. This is division. This is a division sign. Okay? The word quotient means we're dividing a number, x, and -8. So I'm going to set it up as x over -8. X over -8. Okay? Now, if I'm solving this, if I have to solve it, then that means I have to use what operation to solve? Okay, I've got my inequality set up. What's the operation that we now do to solve it? Nathan? Multiplication. We're going to multiply both sides by -8. Okay, so if I multiply by -8, I'm going to multiply by a negative. Am I going to keep my inequality or flip my inequality? Flip. So those of you who actually did watch your notes when I was out, when you multiply or divide by a negative, you flip your inequality symbol. If you did not watch those notes, you might want to, so that you know what you're doing. Okay? You need to now flip your inequality when you solve. So this becomes x is greater than or equal to 48. That would be your solution. When you multiply or divide by a negative, it causes you to flip your inequality. Okay? Twice a number is at least negative 10. Is at least. Is at least. Okay, so the first thing you should ask yourself, is at least, is that going to be an equal to value? Will is at least be an equal to value? Yes. Okay, you must be at least this height to ride this ride. That means you can be equal to that height, but what else does it mean? You need to be taller, right? You can be equal, but you also might need to be taller. Okay, is at least. That means that the bare minimum that you can ride. Okay, is at least negative 10 means it needs to be greater than or equal to negative 10. Greater than or equal to negative 10. Has to be greater than or equal to. Okay, twice a number. What operation is twice a number? Multiplication by what? 2. Okay, multiplication by 2. So this is 2x. 2x is greater than or equal to negative 10. All right, now if I solve it, I know to solve I would divide both sides by 2. So if I'm going to be dividing, I'm going to divide by a positive 2. Am I going to keep or flip? Keep. Keep flip? What is keep flip?
No, I said keep doing something.
Oh, you're going to keep. If you are multiplying or dividing by a positive, you keep. If you multiply or divide by a negative, you flip. Okay? So we'll keep our symbol. X is greater than negative 5. Write that rule up here at the top, please. If you multiply or divide by a positive, you're going to keep. If you multiply or divide by a positive, you're going to keep. If you multiply or divide by a negative, you're going to flip. Multiply or divide by a negative, you will flip. Okay? All right. So those are just some easy little phrases, little quick translation phrases. Most of the time you're going to be working with word problems that you're going to have to translate. So for here, Kim is reading a book. She wants to read a minimum of 150 pages. Minimum is one of our key phrases for an inequality. Minimum of 150 pages. So can she read 150? Yeah. Can she read less than 150? No. Can she read more than 150?
Yes.
Yes. So this is a greater than or equal to symbol. That's going to be a greater than or equal to symbol. Minimum means greater than or equal to 150. Greater than or equal to. Minimum means greater than or equal to for 150 pages by the end of the week. So far, she's read 20 pages. That sounds like a constant to me, a starting point. This is what she started at. So far, she has read 20 pages. She has started at 20 pages so far. Now, she's going to keep reading, so I need to add more pages that she's going to read. There's 5 more days left. 5 more days. That means that she can read a certain amount every single day for 5 days. That sounds like a coefficient to me. 5 more days left, so we're going to write that as 5x. 5 more days, X amount of pages per day. So there's going to be our inequality. We're going to write it, now we're going to solve it, and then we're going to graph it. Write, solve, and graph. Okay? So what do I need to do to solve this inequality first? Michaela? Subtract 20. We're going to subtract 20 from both sides. That's going to leave me with a positive 5x is now greater than or equal to 130. Chisimdi, what do I do to solve the rest? Divide. Good. We're going to divide by 5 on both sides. Okay, divide by 5 on both sides. It's going to come out to x is equal to 26. Or x is greater than or equal to 26. Okay, now if we were to graph it, graphically speaking, is it going to be an open or closed circle at 26? Closed. Is it going to go to the left or to the right? To the right. That's what your graph would look like. Starting at 26, you'd graph it, closed circle to the right. All right. For Halloween, I want to give out at least 48 goodie bags to trick-or-treaters. My daughter and her 9 friends will get a goodie bag as well. We're going to write, solve, and graph an inequality that shows how many trick-or-treaters I need to come to my house. I want to give out at least 48 goodie bags. Okay? So at least, that right there is going to be my inequality. At least 48 goodie bags. So what does the term at least represent? Is it going to be equal to? At least, is it going to be equal to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can it be less than? At least.
Yeah.
Can you be less than that value? If that's the least you want? No. If that's the least amount that I want, it means I don't want anything lower than that amount. So it's going to have to be greater than. So, greater than or equal to 48. That's the term at least. At least means greater than or equal to 48. Now, my daughter and her 9 friends. My daughter and her 9 friends. How many people is that? Okay. 10 people. Plus any additional trick-or-treaters, which I don't know how many. God, we are all just a wreck in here. So here's our inequality. 10 plus x is greater than or equal to 48. We subtract. We're going to get x is greater than or equal to 38. And then we graph it. Is it open or closed circle? Closed. Left or right? Is it going to go to the left or to the right? To the right. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, a gift card has $250 on it, and I want to buy a pair of boots for $100. There are also some scarves that cost $30 each. We're going to write and solve and graph an inequality to represent the most scarves that I can buy. The most scarves that I can buy. Okay, so if we've got a gift card of $250 on it, think logically. You're only going to use your gift card. Can you spend $250? Yeah. Can you spend less than $250?
Yes.
Yes. Can you spend more than $250? No. Okay? That's the limit. So that means it has to be less than or equal to $250. Less than or equal to $250. Now, I'm going to buy a pair of boots. How many boots am I going to buy? 1. So that's a one-time value. Going to buy a pair of boots 1 time. There's some scarves I want to buy. And it's $30 each. $30 each for those scarves. So that's $30 X. And that's going to have to come out to less than or equal to 250.
Equal.
Well, less than or equal. It's not about saying whether it's going to be equal or not. It's less than or equal. Okay? All right. When we saw that we would subtract $100 from both sides, that's going to come out to 30x is now less than or equal to 150. Then we would divide both sides by 30, and we get x is less than or equal to 5. So 5 scarves, that's the most scarves that I could possibly buy. If I graph it, open or close circle? Closed, right? It's got that equal to sign. Am I going to graph it to the left or to the right? To the left. Here's the thing. Can I go past 0 though? Can I buy a negative amount of scarves? No. That's the cutoff. Okay? Okay, we're actually going to stop here because I want you guys to have plenty of time to be able to work on your Delta Math. You've got about 20 minutes in class right now. Delta Math is loaded on in Google Classroom. You've got 1 more minute before I start sending you guys off to the restroom, and I'm only going to send you off after I've seen you answer at least 1 question. At least 1 question.
Oh.
At least 1 question. So get into your Delta Math right now. Start answering. Huh? 1 or more questions has to be answered before I'll let you go.